someone talks here, I guess it's quite normal to say, I'm very happy to talk to you, I'm very happy to be here. I'm really happy to be here. It's the first time I speak publicly about my experience, and that is being part of the Swiss. I'm from Switzerland. My name is Mauro Frigerio, by the way. And in Switzerland we have the so-called expanded access program or compassionate use. That is the legal access in a therapeutic setting to substance-assisted therapy. That means we have a psychotherapy with intervals of 3 months, and within each interval there is a session with MDMA or LSD. So that's my experience. I do this since about 2 years. So, and as Switzerland is, so far as I know, the only country who has this, and with only maybe 50, 60 people who did this in the last years, I think it might be interesting to hear how this works. And it does work. So, obviously, I am part of this group because I have some issues. I used to have, and I still have some issues regarding my past and other things. And I have tried many things that didn't really show any improvement. And by chance, I happened to see a video with Richard Rockefeller, sponsor of MAPS and Doctors Without Borders. And there I heard for the first time about that traumatic events or PTSD can be faced with MDMA, for example. I didn't know about that. I didn't know I had a trauma. I thought I had a particular youth, this yes, but a lot of people have, and I thought that's okay. And then I heard about trauma, and then I heard about MDMA, and I immediately thought, yes, that could be that I have a trauma, and that could be that MDMA can do something about. And I didn't know that Switzerland actually was the only country allowing to take MDMA legally. So that was a surprise I discovered later on. I entered the group. You see in my back, I will talk a bit more about it. This is a typical session, but I will come back to that later. So let me tell you how I experienced this. I never had to do with drugs before. I refused drugs. I was one of them who said, drugs, that's nothing for me. If I want to be happy, if I want to be high, I want to be it on my choice. So taking MDMA was not difficult at all, but I was very scared the first morning I came there. I actually thought I was going to my execution. I don't know why, but I had exactly this feeling. I was totally silent. I was tense. And so we all come together. It's usually groups of 10, 12 people who meet. And there are two ways to handle this, in a group or singularly. Those with more relevant or scary experiences start alone maybe, because they are scared also of a group. Other people can do it in the group, also because the group dynamics are very important, I think. I was scared of the group. I thought, no, the group, that's nothing for me. But it turned out to be very, very helpful, actually. So I took the substance in a very quiet setting. There's some relaxation exercises, some music. Music is a very important assistant to the whole therapy. I will talk about it extensively later. And so we took all the substance at the same time. It's a kind of a ritual almost. And after 20, 30 minutes, when the substance began to kick in, I was tense. I was really, really tense. I had no clue what was about to happen. And in this tension, suddenly I felt this freshness, this beautiful feeling. And it was like, was really, really like this. I had a plan to look at certain issues, at the one issue that accompanied my whole life. And I was determined to look at it very strictly. And when this nice feeling came in, other topics came up. And I thought, no, this time I really stay with what happened and I will look at it. I will not turn away from it. But again, I was put to the other side. And again, I said, no, please, I want to stay here. It was a kind of a dialogue with my brain. I don't know how you want to call that. And at the third time, I said, no, I want to look at this. I kind of got a message like, listen, that one topic is already solved. No need to look at it. This topic is up. That's quite surprising. And the topic was in the present. In the present. So it was not or almost not related to the past. So at that point I accepted to look at it. And again, this flow of freedom, of peace, and all the fear, all the shame, all the, what else? All the tension went away. I could look at that situation. I could almost immediately feel what was up to do, what I did wrong, what other people did wrong. I could feel different ways to handle it, whereas before, for years, I handled it in one and only one way, and I was convinced I had to try harder and harder and harder. But I actually came away from the essence. And there I had the essence. Suddenly it was there. It was beautiful, it was painful, but it was more beautiful than painful because you see it. I was thinking yesterday evening how to present it, and I had this idea of a TV screen from the 50s, so big, with this round glass, black and white, and taking the substance was like suddenly having a flat screen, high definition, color TV. That's the way you see things. And you see them clearer than you remember them. You see them from other perspectives. And that is enormously gratifying. It's enriching because it really gives you the possibility to look at things, to feel, to go through, to imagine how you would behave in another situation. For example, I had a neighbor. I still have him, unfortunately. and he's a pretty grimy guy, and maybe I was grimy as well. And I met him sometimes in the morning, and he didn't say hello. So I thought, oh my God, what have I done wrong? And he's really an ass. And in that moment, I thought of him, and immediately the answer came. He's like he is. I have no clue why he's like that. And it was so relieving, and I was in peace with him, and I was happy to meet him the next time. And for some reason, probably because of me, not because of him, from that moment on, he kept saying hello. So all was okay. That was really, really interesting. And as I said, the other topic was finally there. It became a topic. I thought it's a problem, but I didn't think that was the origin, or that was the important part of it. I thought that is one aspect of my problems of the past. But the message came, no, the past is okay. Concentrate on what's up now. So I did concentrate on that, and it was a wonderful experience. It was with MDMA. I have to add this. I did a total of 7 experiences, I call them, or workshops, sessions, trips. 5 with MDMA and 2 with LSD. So that was my first MDMA trip, and it was unforgettable. It was relieving. It was something I never experienced before. exactly as if you look in a TV of the 50s, you see these people black and white. You see a halo around them eventually, and then you see them in high definition. It's another thing. So, and this dimension is one of the great achievements or enrichments that you are given by the substances. Actually, it's not the substance that gives it to you. That's also important to say. The substance is opening up something in you, or is lowering something in you in order to allow to see what's really there, what really is you. And the discovery for me was, wow, I'm okay. That was a discovery. Because if you experience certain things and you grow up by having had certain experiences, you don't think you are really okay. And maybe you behave also not so okay. And suddenly I was okay, and I felt okay, and I couldn't wait to go out and and live this thing. So that was really a great experience. Let me tell you a little bit about the set or the setting. This is the room. This is a real picture of a workshop. One of them is me. You can imagine who. Some are therapists, and others are participants. You see, it's a very calm atmosphere. Usually it's quiet, and everybody does what he's up to do. He can lay down, he can sit. Eventually you talk with each other. Maybe you are looking to share an experience you are having, so you go to someone, and that's also very gratifying when you can talk about it and you can shape it somehow. That's a way also to handle it later and integrate this experience. Some people meditate, some people sing a little bit, and there are long pauses in between. Such a day lasts between 6 and 10 hours, depending on the substance. MDMA is about 5 to 6 hours. LSD is longer, 8 to 10 hours. And there are long periods of silence. I cannot say how long because I'm not looking at my watch in that moment, but I would say maybe 1 hour, 40 minutes, and then there's music. Suddenly you are laying there, you have your eyes closed, you are totally in your thing, and then you hear smoothly this music coming up. And it's like coming to the surface somehow, but still being related to what you are going through. And I can tell you that is one of the biggest helpers or assistants in such an experience, because it relates you to the reality, and it's something you bring with you when you are over the experience. So when you go home, I usually used to listen to the same music on my way home on the next day, and it was exactly like going back to that moment. And even today, if I listen to a music of the first experience, I'm totally there, and I can activate this. So the effect of the substance goes away, but what remains is the memory of it, the memory of what you felt, the memory of what was right for you, the solutions that came up, and this is exactly what remains with you and what you can work on and integrate into your daily life. A lot of people think that these substances are wonderful, and they are. There's no doubt they are. But if you have a problem, if you have some rucksack, how you say in English, some bag to carry, hang up, backpack. If you have to carry this, it's not that it's gone away. It stays with you. It's part of your experience. But you can handle it. You can see it. You can carry it with you without fear. You can actually, during and after the experience, you can talk about it. I remember certain things I really could not talk about because every time I tried, I couldn't speak out. And now I can tell you, if you want, what happened. No, maybe not, because there are people involved and I want to protect them as well. So that is the great thing. The substance puts you in the position to look at your stuff and what happened to you. It allows you to make a difference to what is your responsibility eventually. And sometimes we all have responsibility. And what is not your responsibility. And you can really, I could really see that certain things really did not belong to me. I had to endure them. I did endure them, the part of me, but I have really no responsibility. I don't need to feel ashamed. I don't need to feel pain for it. I can really live with it, and I can actually do something out of it. And this do something out of it is, in the very end, a lot of work, because the situation is there. You have a life. You have lived so far. You will continue to live the same life. You are not becoming another person. You are still the same person. And finally, now you can do something with this person. You can accept this person as you and go on with your life. Sometimes going on with life implies also accepting certain things that, or not accepting certain things that so far you did accept. Maybe you realize that these things that were even nice maybe are not so functional to who you are, who what is good for you, what is good for your job maybe, for your partner, for other situations. And that can be difficult to handle. That can be painful to handle because you have to take decisions. And that can imply maybe to, I imagine, quit a job. I imagine quit a partner and go on what is your path. And the nice thing is, you really know what is your path. You have no real doubts. You can have weaknesses. You can be sad. You can really go down for days for some difficulties. But when you experience such a thing, you know forever who you are deep within you. There's no doubt about it. And probably you know that everybody around you is exactly the same. And even those you don't like my neighbor, that he's totally okay. He's totally okay. Maybe he doesn't know. But if I know, I can face him in a way that is seemingly a bit more constructive for him and for me. And all this are experiences which change your life. They make you stronger. They make you who you are. They allow you to look further and further. Because I told you, I did not do one experience, but I did 7. So after the first beautiful experience, I thought, oh my God, what about the second? If all goes down the gutter, I lose this beauty. And I remember my therapist told me, no, I don't think so. You will see the same thing from another perspective, probably. And then I asked him, and the third time, he said, another perspective again. And by doing that, one day you will have a 3-dimensional picture of the whole thing. And that's about what's all about. That's you, that's reality, that's what you can do about it. And so session after session, you never repeat what you experience. It's always something different. It's always something that has a different angle, has different topics. Obviously, in some sessions, I also went over these past issues. That was okay, already okay. And the astonishing thing is that the substance is, if I put it in a phrase, it's like they have an intelligence on their own. They know when to look at certain topics and when to look at others. At least this is my experience, I could look at those things I could handle, and I could not look immediately at those things I could not handle. And I remember, for example, the fourth experience with MDMA. I remember I became very nervous, which is not typical. Until there, everything was beautiful. Suddenly, I was nervous. I had no answers. I was very excited. So I went to a sitter, which is the lady you see with this blonde hair. And I asked her, I told her, I always had answers. Now I don't get any answers anymore. Is the substance not working? Is it me? And she said, no, leave it like this. Accept that you don't have answers. Let it there. And if you accept it and don't try to find answers, maybe something comes up. And I remember that session, I spent the whole afternoon, basically 4 or 5 hours. I think I didn't move. I was totally silent. I basically empty my whole brain. I didn't think of anything. I didn't try to find for solution. I trusted her very much. Trust is a very important thing because all this has to happen in a safe, in a protected environment. That's the big difference between recreational use and therapeutic use. In a therapeutic use, you know nothing can happen. You know there is someone you can talk about what you're going through. You know that you can scream out loud if you need, and that it is okay, and that nobody is scared. Nobody is angry. They are there for you. And I did exactly what she told me. That's also maybe it was possible because of the substance, so I was open to accept this. And I spent these hours of total silence. I was very shocked. But I realized, you want to know what happened? Rhetoric question. You don't want to know. Yes. What? No. So in this silence, I was shocked because I realized that I felt. And I realized that it was maybe the first time in my life that I felt without filters, without going through a story, without going through an experience and the consequence measure that I took to protect myself, build up a castle here, protection there. I just felt. And I was shocked because I didn't know. I didn't feel before. I didn't know how to handle this feeling. And it was at the beginning shocking, but the more the substance went down, the effect of the substance went down, the more I could realize what happened and what a big step that was. And again, it was another boost forward to look at things in front of me by feeling them really as they are. It sounds almost simple to say it like this, but if you always live with, if you grow up hearing that, don't know, you are suboptimal, you are really very, very suboptimal, that you will never do that. I was stuttering. Until 24 years, I was stuttering. I ended up working at the radio. I'm a journalist at the microphone of the Swiss National Radio. So when you feel that it's something you come, or something comes together, and that is you, and that is the big thing of these substances. And I have now told you a lot of things, but I would be very happy to hear. I talked about things that are important for me, but maybe there are some questions on your side. So I thank you very much to have stayed with me.